mynews.studio.
Picture a beach in the Maldives where every year the tide creeps just a bit higher. Teens gather there to plant mangroves, but they're also live streaming, calling out to world leaders, hoping to shift the conversation on climate policy. Do their voices have the power to change things?
Today's date is 2025-06-17. Let's dive in. Across South Asia, from the Himalayas to the Maldives, children and teenagers aren't waiting for adults to solve the climate crisis. Why are so many young people stepping up, and how is their activism different from earlier climate movements?
The urgency is different. In Nepal, young people are watching glaciers melt, and landslides are now a real threat to their homes. In the Maldives, daily life means getting used to rising sea levels and regular flooding. For these teens, climate change isn't some distant warning, it's their reality. That's why they're shifting from just watching to actually organizing.
When you say organizing, what does that look like in practice? Is it mostly online campaigns, or are they doing more hands-on work too?
It's much deeper than just social media. In Nepal, for example, there's a group called Youth Action for Sustainable and Eco-Nepal, YASEN. They're running reforestation efforts, disaster prep workshops, and climate education for local communities. Their Climate Justice Fellowship Camp, which they run together with World's Youth for Climate Justice, helps teens turn their ideas into real projects, and it connects them with others across the region.
And if we look at the Maldives, is their focus similar or a bit different?
In the Maldives, there's a big emphasis on international awareness. Teens are using digital campaigns, but they're also taking their message to global events like the COP summits. They make sure the world sees how vulnerable island nations are. Some, like Caliph, he's 18, are even picking careers in climate-adaptive fields, such as architecture, to design homes that can withstand rising seas.
Are these efforts mostly local, or are they starting to get noticed internationally?
They're definitely reaching beyond their borders. Youth delegates, often with backing from UNICEF or similar groups, have spoken at international events like COP29. They're pushing for faster action, more funding, and a seat at the policy table. They're not just isolated voices. Each one represents hundreds back home.
Have any individuals really managed to bridge that gap between local work and global advocacy?
Yes. For example, Dang Dao Win started Young Urbanists of Southeast Asia to push for better city planning. Another is Javahir Muradova. She's been involved in shaping national climate plans and representing the Global South at UN negotiations. They're connecting local issues with global discussions.
What about collaboration? Are these youth groups in South Asia connecting with others beyond the region?
Yes, collaboration is growing. The climate guardians from the Maldives, for instance, have built partnerships with international organizations. At COP29, youth from the Maldives and the Himalayas teamed up with others from vulnerable regions, pooling strategies and supporting each other's campaigns. This kind of solidarity makes their advocacy stronger.
So, global organizations are listening, but are local governments in South Asia making real space for youth voices?
There's some movement, but it's mixed. UNICEF and the UN are helping young people get involved, but many youth activists say there's still a generation gap. Older officials can be slow to respond or reluctant to share decision-making. That's where groups like UNICEF and UNFPA come in. They offer training, mentorship, and platforms for youth to speak up.
Is it making a difference yet? Are these youth-led projects leading to changes on the ground?
We're seeing two main impacts. Locally, these projects, like planting trees or training for disasters, are making communities more resilient. And globally, the narrative is shifting. Young people aren't just victims of climate change, they're recognized as part of the solution. Their work is encouraging collaboration across generations and inspiring others around the world.
Why should people outside South Asia care about this movement?
Because it's a blueprint. It shows that when youth lead, they bring practical solutions and fresh advocacy to the table. If their momentum inspires governments and older generations to act, this could be the turning point for real climate resilience.
It's a strong reminder climate change isn't some distant threat. For millions, it's happening now. Will these young leaders be able to shift the outcome?
That's what we'll be watching. Thanks for joining us today as we explored youth leadership in the climate fight, from the Himalayas down to the Maldives.
We hope you'll stay tuned to these stories and maybe think about your own role. Thanks for listening. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. Give it a try for free.